Hello, everybody, and welcome to Freedom Friday. And I am here with the lovely Karen Burr. We've been having a conversation like we were walking in the wood together, wandering through. So I kind of want to just open to Karen. I don't even know how to describe you're a naturalist. You have a very deep connection and relationship with plants and earth medicine. So I know that's going to weave its way into what we speak about. And as those of you who have been following me, I also have a passion for something we were just talking about, 5-element consciousness, which follows not only the patterns and the flows, the energy, the emotions and spirit of the seasons, but also how that's connected directly with our organ function and how that's connected directly with emotion. So I want to start kind of where we were just kind of getting into this idea of the seasons. And there's certain things that we've just come to associate with seasons, like seasonal depressive disorder, which is something that can arise for folks around this time when the energy of the light, we went through the we didn't go through the solstice. What are we talking? We had the equinox. And yes, eventually we are going to get to the solstice in December when we have the peak darkness. So yes, we had that equal light and dark, and it's getting darker and darker and darker. So before I hand it over to you, just a couple of things from the perspective of, first of all, the light and the dark, because that's another thing I've been speaking of a lot in terms of connection and relationship. You can see the yin yang behind Karen. So it isn't to say that the shadow is bad and the light is good, or one way or the other. It's all part of the whole. And in fact, it's in the shadow, in those depths, that is that yin, that infinite mystery that's held, and it supports and nurtures the presence of the light. It's like they need each other. The light, that's the yang, that's the active, the more visible level of what we see. So that's one level that I know I've been speaking to since we had the equinox. And when you think of the season of fall, because it is the season of, we kind of have a unique experience here in Indiana. It seems like we've got this extended fall. We had some snow. We still have all these leaves on the trees. So the energy is going inward, drawing inward during fall. And that's when you start to see that transformation that happens, that ends in that release and that letting go. And this is the organ system of the lung and the large intestine, and it's associated with grief and sadness, but not necessarily in a bad way, but in a just in a okay. And I want you to speak to, you were talking about foraging, and there were just such beautiful words, if it comes back, to share like how you were connecting with the plant that was going through this process of transformation.
Yeah, I was thinking about a lot of people know Richard Brendan, but when I was in the woods, I was thinking about him, and we had this talk the other day. But before I harvest any of my plants, I always talk with him, because they're living, and they don't have a nervous system, so they can't feel like what we feel, but they still have an energy system. So as loony as I may look, I talk to my plants and I thank them for their medicine. But anyway, as I was speaking to them, and I was thanking them for their medicine and telling them that I was going to harvest them before the frost bit them. So it made it feel a little bit better that I was saving them from the frost. But I got to thinking about, it's really just so beautiful when things do kind of die back down into the earth, and it's such a beautiful time of rest. And this is really interesting coming from someone like me who has never been a fan of winter, because the cold physically hurts. I don't like cold, but there's so much that you can do to create warmth when there is the cold, when there's lack of light, when there's lack of warmth, when there's just the lack of that beautiful sun energy that you get in the summer months. You can create that. There's so much that the earth's medicine still has to give us through our conifers. We still have. So sitting down with a cup of freshly foraged white pine tea, and then you can add in your seasonal fruits for that, some citrus peel and some pomegranates and yes, some gingers, so you can bring those beautiful, like kitchen warming herbs and spices to warm the body up from that sense of rest from nature dying off. So it doesn't have to be depressing. Yes, maple syrup. We tap our trees, to get another form of earth's medicine, which is so mineral rich. But that's what I was thinking, we go into these seasonal type depressions, and I think it's because we're looking at it wrong. We don't realize what this season actually has to offer us when you can go sit inside a beautiful local coffee shop and order your favorite coffee and get to know the baristas, so you're creating new friends, or cozy up by a fireplace when you can in the evening with a cup of tea or a homemade hot cocoa. And, there's just so much more that we can do. Have beautiful Sunday dinner parties with game nights, things that you're not going to do in those warmer months, because we're always outside enjoying that season.
Yeah. So from that 5-element perspective, so that energy that started to go in with fall, it doesn't disappear, right? Even though we're not experiencing it as much at the visible level, it's going deep, deep, deep into the roots. So it's there. You're right. It's like having its own little cozy, cozy party together, all those energies of all the plants and the animals that are hibernating. So it's a time of rest. It is a time of conservation. But also, so it's the kidney and the bladder in Chinese medicine, which is the reservoir of our whole life force and our inherited wisdom. So it is a time for this really peaceful connection and deep reflection. So this isn't like, all right, we're going to take action. That's what spring's all about. This is like, I'm just going to sit back and reflect over the past year and open to what might be the possibilities for the year ahead. So thinking of like, we don't just jump from winter to spring, right? I mean, that is an incredible process. And part of that is like winter, the energy of Earth has to take inventory because it knows like, okay, it's not just like a prescription and it's going to be the same every season. Every season is different. She's got to take inventory of where's our energy at, how many of the tulips are going to bloom this year. You know this because you forage, you witness it very intimately, but all of us, you even tune in a little bit, you'll notice every season has a different character. And that has to do with what's happening in the energy. So she's doing that. She's tuning in. So that is an invitation to us as well to kind of take a quiet inventory of where things are at, where we might need to make some subtle, shifts in life and connect in relationship. I think that's another piece that can feel tricky for some, but also is really, really important. It's like to take inventory of that, because relationship is a way that we nurture ourselves as humans and support ourselves at another level. Bring in the light. That was the name of the event that I had over the weekend, Let in the Light, rewriting relationship stories through love. So the invitation to us during winter and during the holiday season is to tap into it at that level. So yeah, go ahead and whatever that bubbles up in you to speak to.
It is, for me personally, it has become a time for growth, because it's the only time in the seasons that I have time for myself. So, when March hits, the trees are starting, I have sap medicine that's budding, and I have journals of where I forage things and where I go, because I know what's growing where and what time of year I need to be there. And it can be very specific. So I've come to and actually look for, okay, this is going to be such a beautiful time of rest. And now I have beautiful tools to keep from having that yucky seasonal depression. And I feel like if we could all look at life that way, I don't know, my life is different than most people. I'm usually barefoot out in the woods somewhere, just absorbing earth energy. And it makes me sad when I can't do that. So you have to find other ways to connect. But I have started to really welcome this time of rest
Mhm.
with the earth. It's just the earth resting. So if we could think about ourselves that way, because we are so connected. So
Mhm.
if we could think of ourselves that way, is it's our time to rest also. And what can you do for growth during those times? And what can you learn to help promote more of a mind, body, spirit health approach for yourself in this time of rest? How
Mhm.
can you create a better connection with the earth and the different seasons of what it has to offer? Like we were just saying, it just really flips the script on that whole way of thinking.
Yeah. Yeah. There was a really, and I'll make sure to put it in the comments. With the snow last night, one of the collaborators from our event sent a message about the spirit of snow,
Oh, it was
because water, we were talking about winter. Water, the essence of water has to do with the kidney and bladder. So all kinds of water, rain, but the nature and the feeling and the experience is so different. And it's like the heavens are communicating with earth. And actually the way they described it was to make a snowflake, it isn't just water being, and it's not just, it's cold enough. It actually requires earth. So there's
Mhm.
dust in the air, and then the crystallization patterns, which of course there's all the magic of looking at that, of the water to create the snowflakes. So it's a combination of earth and water that's coming down from the heavens. There's so many
Oh,
levels. Like when we
that's
start to
beautiful.
open ourselves, like the messages, why did that happen yesterday? Right. I mean, that was part of our kind of reflection as a group. Like we opened this big concept of relationship, had a beautiful celebration, kept ourselves warm sort of outside, even though it was cold. And then the snow came. And it was just like,
Oh,
yeah. So, whether you can consciously connect to it or not, even just like stepping outside and just being with it, bundling up and just being present and listening and observing and feeling, what does it evoke in you? Because again, you don't have to have, some deep understanding. You have the connection inside of you. It's literally inside of you. So when you just give yourself that meditative moment, something may just come in.
absolutely. It's why winter hiking is so important. I was just speaking with a client of mine just this week who was just letting me know just depression setting in, a lot of anxiety. And I said, I want you to examine your everyday, what is going on in your everyday. And it was, I get up, I check my email, I go to work, I'm always on a computer, I come home, I'm making dead food, so there's nothing that he had that was connecting him to nature at all.
Mm,
So his prescription for me was get up, get to the farmer's market on Saturday. He already understands high vibrational foods. We've been over this. He just wasn't doing it because he was stuck. He was feeling very stuck, and get away from the radiation. Just
mhm,
get away from the electromagnetic frequencies that are all around us, because whether you understand that or not, they're messing with you. They're
mhm,
messing with how you feel, and they can make you feel so anxious.
mhm.
So this weekend, that's what he did. I said, I'm prescribing forest bathing for you. Get outside, carry some hot tea with you. If you find a pine tree somewhere, text me. I'll make sure that it's identified. So then he was able to cut some white pine. We went over how he could make tea with it. It's just
Mm,
learning how to connect with nature's elements through every season is going to save you.
yeah.
I'm looking over here at some of your herbs and spices, and one of the most beautiful ways to carry kind of like what you helped create through working with nature is growing your own herbs and spices, like
Mhm.
Melissa did this summer. But
I
when
did.
you're able to grow so many of these beautiful foods and then you dry them out through the winter,
Yeah.
and then you're using them to make your beautiful soups and stews and baked vegetable dishes, or anything that you're doing to nourish yourself, you're bringing that same energy back into your kitchen every day, and then
Mhm.
you're eating that. And there's something so beautiful about that, other than going to a grocery store and buying some herbs and spices off of a rack. You don't even know they came from some large factory, so there's just a different energy about that. So there's so much where you can create earth elements to keep you at such a grounding, beautiful state of health and just connectedness through all the different seasons.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know,
So there's, I mean, there's grounding yourself, right? Because we are processing all the time. So whether we're talking about electromagnetic fields, different emotions, whatever else might be going on within your body and your own health and well-being, we're processing constantly. So these, tools and techniques, whether it's shifting your mind, but also bringing them into your cooking and your teas and stuff, they really nurture and support. And you're right, as much as we can be in the flow with what the seasons are doing, because basically we are of nature. We are a part of nature, not a part from nature. I think that's what I put in my little write-up,
Yes.
right? So she's showing us how to follow that flow. And winter is one of the times as humans, we absolutely go against the flow. It's
yeah.
impossible in our modern society to, well, not impossible. It's very challenging if you really wanted to do what nature does and haul up and hibernate for 3 months. So in the meantime, there are so many different ways that we can support. You've mentioned several times white pine. So if you, maybe we'll post your recipe, because that
Yeah,
sounds amazing. Because evergreen, yes, that's, I mean, the strength of that energy during winter. And I was just thinking of pine nuts. Pine nuts are so yummy. You saute them a little bit. You can throw them into soup. You can, include a little bit in your cooking. Really high vibrational essence that supports the kidney energy. I also, walnuts are another, do you ever work with the black walnuts?
Always.
Okay. Yeah.
Yep.
They were crazy this year, right?
They were. I've got them. I've made a black walnut tincture and an infused oil that I have at the
Awesome.
apothecary right now.
So what would the black walnut be supportive for?
It's beautiful for supporting more of an antifungal.
Okay.
It's
Yeah,
great
that's
for
what I've heard.
yeast. So you can use it. It's great for people who have a lot of like mouth ulcers in their mouth, anything yeast
Ooh.
and fungal.
Hmm.
So I love, I geek out with different leaf and tree medicines. So they have, our trees have such a beautiful energy and such a beautiful medicine. And it makes sense because you always talk about people, yeah, you're a tree hugger, why not? Go hug a tree. You feel amazing when you do, but they have such a beautiful medicine. They're very specific medicine. So you have to really understand what you're doing when you're working with tree medicine. And I'm kind of new to tree medicine. So this season I've been really drawn to it. I went to Wisconsin to study at a wild foraging weekend.
Yes.
So it was magical getting to study with a woman named Linda Black Elk, who's from the Lakota tribe, and Chef Alan Bargo, who's just a genius when it comes to high vibrational foods and such a real connection to wild foods and what they're doing to us and how they make us feel. And not only do they taste amazing, but how they are nourishing us in those ancient ways that we've gotten so far away from. And then kind of the United States #1 wild food forager. His name is Samuel Fair. But being able to be in that environment just really kind of flipped a switch, like that light bulb went off of going, why haven't you paid more attention to these trees? So I've been really hooked on that lately. A lot of tree medicine, and I'm learning a lot that I didn't know. So they're very, very specific medicine, and they have so much to give us. And they're considered kind of more fall and winter type medicines.
Cool. From my kitchen and in my office, one of the things that I'll talk about a lot with people is honey. Honey, I mean, just think about what has to happen to create honey. So we've got all these bees that are out, like taking in the essence of the environment. It's absolutely the most awesome if you can get, local honey and as seasonally close, because then you really are taking in the essence of that energy. In general, honey is going to go to that lung and large intestine. So it's going to be very supportive for fall transitioning to winter, and any issues that are related to the lung and large intestine, constipation, cough, all that kind of stuff. Honey. The other thing I have, a ginger. real ginger. So even when you get bagged ginger tea, you're not getting the essence that you get. And it's pretty easy to find the raw ginger like this. When I make a tea, I don't even peel it. I will just do slices. So depending on how spicy you like it, like 3 or 4 slices, ginger is going to be really good for nurturing the digestive system energy if you have any issues there. We were talking about processing, whether it's the EMFs, emotions, anything has to be digested. So pretty much we all need this support. This is also going to be good for the lung, and it's good for the liver as well. And cinnamon. So that's what we had today, was ginger, cinnamon, and honey. That was it in the tea. I like to work with the cinnamon sticks because if powder, it just kind of doesn't ever want to go into, it doesn't go into solution. So like half of one of these sticks in a pot of tea can, because it's very, very strong. Cinnamon is really good for the kidney energy. So it's going to be very warming. Same thing we talked about. We're talking about things that are very warming during, the seasons when the energy is less available and it's cold. Warming, warming, warming. And Karen had mentioned working with citrus peels. So I like to collect like clementine peels, orange peels, it doesn't matter. Let them dry out a little bit. You can include them into tea. It's also really yummy if you dice it up really fine and you can put it into your cooking. And then the last thing I had that I want to hear a few more from you is just a lemon. So yes, we bring in some of that sunshine with the citrus, and the lemon is really good for the liver energy. Our liver is helping us to process stress, emotions. And if you have a cough, or congestion, it helps to thin out mucus and stuff like that. So a little bit of lemon. So some of the things that I'll combine, lemon, ginger, and honey are amazing together as a tea. How much you do of each, it just changes the flavor a little bit. It's called harmony tea because everybody harmonizes. So those are just a few ideas of, really common things that you can just be constantly drinking all day long to support and nurture yourself during the season. Any other tips from you before we wrap up today?
I love to, I work a lot with citrus peel for its limonene. So limonene is a beautiful chemical inside of the citrus peels that really supports the detoxification pathways with your liver. So I put it in a lot, most of my herbal tea blends because of that. And it helps things taste better. It tastes really good, but going into everything that Melissa just showed you is where you can add some of that white and you can add some balsam fir. So every year I get a balsam fir for my Christmas tree. We drink it all season.
Oh, cool.
I know. We just go.
So how do you prepare that?
You steep it. You would steep it just in just hot water, never boiling, because you don't want to burn off those really volatile essential oils, but just a low simmer, and you just clip a few pieces off. You'll of course always want to make sure that it isn't where anything has been sprayed with pesticides. So where we get ours, a tree farm, they're clients of mine, and they don't believe in pesticides because they know how dangerous they are. And so it's really awesome because then when we're done with our Christmas tree, I have beautiful medicine that I can make with it. And then I take it to the spa and I use it for my clients too.
Oh my gosh, that's awesome.
And it's beautiful topically.
Yeah.
When you have any type of skin eruptions, you can use all the different conifers. They're extremely anti-inflammatory, but they are one of the most beautiful antiseptics. So it's great for if you have an eczema going on, any type of acne, dermatitis. There's so much that you can do with these beautiful plant medicines.
Wow. Oh, you know what? I haven't ever actually been to Materia Medica, and I know, right? We had a table next to each other at Wellbeing Fest, and that alone, I just kept looking at everything you had on your table, like
so fun.
Yeah. So you've got lots of preparations there that you sell.
Yeah. So we have a full kitchen where after foraging or growing, everything goes into that kitchen, and then we have wall-to-wall plants everywhere, and then that's where all the plant medicine is made. Awesome. And then with all my clients, everything's bio-individual. So I always want to know.
Yes, you work one-on-one with people.
One-on-one, I have to know your particular, I have to match your personal energy to the plant's personal energy.
Oh, I love that. I
Well,
love
we
that.
have a physiology and the plants have a chemistry, so we have to match it together. Yep.
Beautiful. Well, thank you so much for joining me
Thank you. This is
today.
so
It
fun.
was, and I'd love to bring you back like in peak bloom season.
Let's
Like,
do it.
yeah, let's do that. Cause
Oh,
yeah,
that'd be
what is, I
fun.
remember you saying that's like, is it Mother's Day or when does it start?
May's beautiful because do have so much growing there. So yeah, May is a beautiful time to do like plant walks for spring and really start working with, right now, all of our plant medicine is more about just that grounding, warming energy that's full of those beautiful, like prebiotic fibers, where everything is just so building and grounding. But then doing spring medicine is totally different. It's more of that cleansing, that rejuvenating,
Yep.
that waking everything up.
Yep.
So,
Yep.
yes. So, yeah, let's do it.
Awesome. So we'll be doing a walk. That's
Yeah,
what
we'll do a
do.
plant walk.
Yes,
It'll be super fun. Then we can do
Yay.
recipes.
Awesome. All right. Thank you, everybody, and enjoy your weekend.
Bye.
Bye.